Hi everyone, welcome to Lilybugs Library. My name's Linda, and today we are going to talk about June's TBR, or Pile of Possibilities, whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of people have switched to that. I have a hard time following it, doesn't matter what you call it, but we'll go with that. So, because it's Big Book Summer, which I didn't really explain well last time, but it's run by Sue Jackson, and this year she has I think it's Melissa at A Web of Stories. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But the two of them are running it, co-hosting it, and you read a book that is more than 400 pages. They're counting 400 pages as being a big book, so anything over that. And it runs all summer, and you can either read one book, you can read a bunch of books, it's up to you. So I decided to kind of get involved with that again this year. I think last year I only read one big book. This year I'm going to try for the whole summer. And so because of that, I'm kind of cutting back on the other things that I would read normally. And I'm going to do short stories and novellas because I have a bunch of them. I think a lot of them maybe were, like a free offer and things like this. But I have quite a few, and I haven't really given them a fair shot. So this year I'm going to read those, and as well as a few big books. So here's what I have in mind anyway. So the first one is called When the Clock Chimes Two, and it's by Adriana, I think it's Licio, or Licio, I think. Anyway, it says, and I just have the smallest blurb on each one, just because there is quite a few of them, so you might want to maybe pause this and go get a coffee or something. So the first one is When the Clock Chimes Two, and it says, filled with newfound confidence, Zoe is enjoying the respect she's receiving all of a sudden from the inhabitants of the beautiful coastal village of Maratea in southern Italy. But just how far will her determination to take control of her life go when she's discovered standing over the dead body of her bullying boss, the murder weapon in her hand? It looks as though it has gone way too far. So that sounds interesting. The next one, I can't say I care for the title, but hopefully the book's good. It's part of the Dukes of War series, which is a Regency romance series. And it's called The Viscount's Tempting Minx. Okay, so I guess you can't get something that sounds much more Regency than that. But it says, certain individuals may consider Lady Amelia Pembroke a managing sort of female, but truly most people would be lost without her help. Why the latest on dit is that rakish Viscount Sheffield is cancelling the fete of the year because he hasn't time for silly soirees. He doesn't need time, he needs her. When a flash of lightning destroys the venue for his family's annual Christmas ball, Lord Benedict Sheffield intends to enjoy a relaxing holiday for once. But after 12 days of beguiling Lady Amelia's guerrilla tactics, he's up to his cravat with tinsel and tumbling head over heels in love. So we'll see. We'll see what that one's like. I mean, some of these may end up being DNF'd, but, I'll give it a shot. And I could feel Dudley tapping my leg, but I don't know where he went. All right, so the next one is called Visions and Villainy. It says a murder... Oh, come on, buddy. There you go. All right, it says a murderous premonition, a dead eyewitness, and an urgency to reach a ghost. Freedom at 50 is working out perfectly for Addie Keene, who's returned to the seaside town of Whalesback Cove. Having developed a new line of body care products, she's now living out her long-cherished dream. Except her dream doesn't include sudden psychic visions. Looking for answers, Addie seeks guidance from a local clairvoyant, but the startling message she receives thrusts her into the heart of a murder investigation. Okay. The next one is called The River Girl's Song, and it says Zelia Bright never dreamed she'd be orphaned at 16 and left to care for her baby brother and Papa's farm. With only a mule and a 100-year-old shotgun, she must fight to protect what's hers. Countless dangers lurk on the Bastrop, Texas riverside. Zelia must rely on the help of her best friends, Suni and Wilder, to hold her world together. With Zelia's struggles come unexpected miracles and proof that God might just listen to the prayers of a river girl. So that one sounds good, kind of a Western sort of one. The next one is called Dead Ringer, and it says, wedding planner Annabelle Archer knows that the only thing as crazy as a wedding day is a bridal show. When DC's most stylish bridal showcase is disrupted by a jewelry heist and $250,000 worth of diamond rings disappear, Annabelle and her team are determined to find the bling to help the jeweler and save the show. One problem, the jewelry was stolen during a blackout and no one saw a thing. Isn't that always the way? And the next one's called Towards the Sunrise. And it says, Julia Broder is only 6 months shy. Don't get in the mic. Is only 6 months shy of graduating from the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania when one small decision spirals out of control and results in her expulsion. Hoping to travel the world as a missionary doctor, her only choice is to return back home or throw herself upon the mercy of Ashton Carlisle. Okay, that could be good. This one, I just love the cover. It's almost looks like an anime cover, which I'm not sure if it's supposed to, but it's called My Lady, Will You Dance? And it says, Maribel's dreams are shattered when her bridegroom vanishes. Sorry. First, I printed out some of the synopsis, and I think I must have got a drop of water on that because half the word's gone. Maribel's dreams are shattered when her bridegroom vanishes without a trace from her little village in Cornwall. With a determined heart, she embarks on a journey to London to find him, only to find herself in humble service in a noble household. As time passes, the memory of her lost love lingers, defying the odds. When an unexpected opportunity arises to attend a lavish country house party as a companion, Mira seizes the chance. Enter the enigmatic Lord Atherton, a sought-after bachelor known as the Cold Marquis. So that one could be interesting. And the next one is by Frederick Bachman. Bachman? I don't know. Looks like Bachman. Frederick Bachman. Okay, we're going to go with that. Anyway, he wrote A Man Called Uve, and he wrote, a lot of other great books, Beartown series. So anything by him, I'm willing to give a shot to, even if it's a short story. So this one's called The Answer Is No. Lucas knows the perfect night entails just 3 things: video games, wine, and pad thai. Sounds pretty good. Peanuts are a must. Other people, not so much. Why complicate things when he's happy alone? Then one day, the apartment board, a vexing trio of authority, rings his doorbell, and Lucas's solitude takes a startling hike. They demand to see his frying pan. Okay. Someone left one next to the recycling room overnight, and instead of removing the errant object, as Lucas suggests, they insist on finding the guilty party, but their plan backfires colossally. Okay, that sounds cool. I'm looking to see where that one goes. And the next one's by another author that, I'd read anything she wrote, really. It's by Abby Jimenez, and it's called The Fall Risk. And it says it's Valentine's Day weekend, and Charlotte and Seth are not looking for romance. Armed with emotional support bear spray. Sorry. Oh, wasn't that fun? My printer printed some blank pages, too. There we go. Charlotte is in self-imposed isolation and on guard from men. Having a stalker can do that to a person's nerves. Just across the hall and giving off woodsy vibes is Seth, a recently divorced arborist. As in today, recently. Oh, that is recent. Okay. Heights he's fine with. Trust, not so much. But when disaster traps them one flight up and no way down, an outrageously precarious predicament forces a tree-loving guy and a rattled girl next door to embrace their captivity. So that sounds cool. Sounds like a good way to start a love story. The next one is by Susan Hatler, and it's the last one in my novella short story section. And Susan Hatler, I had, I don't know, probably 8 short stories from her on my Kindle. So it's like I just kind of randomly picked one, and turns out it's actually a Christmas one, but that's okay. It's called The Sweetest Surprise, and it says Holly is already over her head when she and her husband Dave receive an opportunity to adopt a baby. They make a decision on the spot. Ow! Okay, so I guess Dudley's done. So down he goes. They make a decision on the spot, but Holly worries she'll regret their choice forever. So that's intriguing. Did they make the decision to adopt the baby and it didn't work out, or did they make the decision not to adopt the baby? And that's what she's questioning. So yeah, we'll see where that one goes. And so then we get into the big books. So the one that I just started is called The Last Rose of Shanghai. And so far, I'm liking it. It's 429 pages. And it says, in Japanese-occupied Shanghai, two people from different cultures are drawn together by fate and the freedom of music. So it's about Ai Shao, who's an heiress, and she used to run the Shanghai nightclub, and she is running the Shanghai nightclub, but it used to be very popular, and now not so much. And she ends up coming across a Jewish man who has managed to get out of Germany, and so he has gone to Shanghai as a refugee, and his name is Ernest. And so once she meets him and gets to know him, she's really kind of starting to fall a little for him, and he's starting to fall a little for her. But she is engaged to her cousin, I believe, and he's very controlling, and she hasn't married him yet. But if she does, he kind of will then be in charge of everything, including her nightclub. So in the meantime, she ends up hiring Ernest to to play the piano there. It's a certain kind of piano. I don't really see that it says what kind, but a certain type of piano, and she's trying to revive her club and kind of get things going. But her family and her fiance and stuff aren't too crazy about the idea. Turns out they don't really like refugees there, and Ernest is doing the best he can with it, but he came from a place where he was hated because he was Jewish, and now he's gone to a place where he's kind of hated because he's a refugee. You just can't win, right? So, sorry, it's early in the morning, so have to have my coffee. Okay, so the biggest book on Big Book Summer's list is Middlemarch by George Eliot, and it's 912 pages. I confess I'm kind of leaving it to the end of the summer. If I don't get to it, I don't get to it, but it kind of scares me a little. That's pretty large, and it's old enough that, like, I don't know how much I'm going to like it. So we'll see. But anyway, it says it's about, let me see, diverse lives and changing fortunes in a provincial community. Says peopling its landscape are Dorothea Brooke, a young idealist whose search for intellectual fulfillment leads her into a disastrous marriage to the scholar Casaubon, the charming but tactless Dr. Lydgate, whose pioneering medical methods, combined with an imprudent marriage to the spendthrift beauty Rosamond, threatened to undermine his career, and the religious hypocrite Bulstrode, hiding scandalous crimes from his past. As the stories interweave, George Eliot creates a richly nuanced and moving drama. So, I don't know what to think about that. I don't know if I'll like it or I won't like it, but it's worth a try. The next one is 405 pages, so it just squeaks in. And it's called A Girl Called Sampson. And it says in 1760, Deborah Sampson is born to Puritan parents in Plymouth, Massachusetts. When her father abandons the family and her mother is unable to support them, Deborah is bound out as an indentured servant. From that moment on, she yearns for a life of liberation and adventure. 20 years later, as the American colonies begin to buckle in their battle for independence, Deborah, impassioned by the cause, disguises herself as a soldier and enlists in the Continental Army. Her impressive height and lanky build make her transformation a convincing one, and it isn't long before she finds herself confronting the horrors of war head-on. But as Deborah fights for her country's freedom, she must contend with the secret of who she is, and ultimately a surprising love she can't deny. So that sounds fascinating. And I kind of, it's kind of like a Mulan sort of story, right? When a woman dresses up as a man to try and hide in a men's world. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes for her. The next one is 421 pages, and it's The Gray Wolf by Louise Penny. And it says, relentless phone calls interrupt the peace of a warm August morning in Three Pines. Though the tiny Quebec village is impossible to find on any map, someone has managed to track down Armand Gamache, head of homicide at the Surette, as he sits with his wife in their back garden. Renee Marie watches with increasing unease as her husband refuses to pick up, though he clearly knows who's on the other end. When he finally answers, his rage shatters the calm of their quiet Sunday morning. Okay, and goes on that that's the first in a series of strange events. So that one sounds really good, and I do love Louise Penny. Now, a friend of mine gave me The Gray Wolf, as well as, what was the other one? The Beautiful Mystery. And she said I need to read this one before I read that one. And this one's not quite 400, so it's not going to count, but still, I have to read it. It's 390 pages, really close. But I guess I'll have to read this one first and then read The Gray Wolf. So, I don't know. Can I combine the two and say that it's, 700 and some pages? So the next one is Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which is 518 pages, and it's another classic. And it says, when Tess Derbyfield is driven by family poverty to claim kinship with the wealthy D'Urbervilles and seek a portion of their family fortune, meeting her cousin Alex proves to be her downfall. A very different man, Angel Clare seems to offer her love and salvation, but Tess must choose whether to reveal her past or remain silent in the hope of a peaceful future. Sounds interesting. I don't really know a lot about it, but it's been on my list of classics to read for ages, and I did pick up a copy at the last Women in Music book sale. So we'll give it a shot. The next one is 463 pages, and this one is called 5 Years in Yemen. And it says a CIA contractor goes missing in Iraq. 5 years later, he turns up in Yemen. Now it's up to Titus to find out if he's a traitor or a patriot. After Titus accepts an assignment to bring the rogue CIA contractor Jacob Levin back to the States, he learns the operation has been put on hold pending presidential approval. That's fine with him. He's looking forward to spending time in Oklahoma with his fiancée, Nikki Saxon. But then his boss needs a favor, and after that, everything changes. So that sounds like it could be good. Interesting that he goes missing and then turns up in Yemen. It's like, where's he been for 5 years? Was he captured? Or, anything could have happened, I guess. And then the last one is called On Isabella Street, and it's by Genevieve Graham, and it's 432 pages. And this one had a pretty long synopsis, so I shortened it, so hopefully it makes at least a little sense. It says, Toronto, 1967. Two young women with different backgrounds, attitudes, and aptitudes are living in an exciting but confusing time, the most extreme counterculture movement the modern world has ever seen. They have little in common except the place they both call an apartment building on Isabella Street. Inspired by the unfettered optimism and crushing disillusionment of the 60s, On Isabella Street is an extraordinary novel about the enduring bonds of friendship and family and the devastating cost of war. And Genevieve Graham, I just adore. She's kind of like, she writes stories similar to Donna Jones Allward or Kristen Hanna, Kate Quinn, all of those amazing historical fiction authors. So really looking forward to that one. I may end up moving that one near the top of the list. And after I finish The Last Rose of Shanghai, I may go straight to that one. We'll see. But as you can see, I've got quite a list of books to read for June. It's good that some of them are short. Some of them, the long ones, some of them I'm sure I won't get to all of them, but we'll see how many I can do in the few months of summer. So, that gives me June, July, and August. So I'm hoping I can get to quite a few of them. So that is what I'm going to be reading for June, or hoping to read for June. I'd love to hear in the comments if you're participating in Big Book Summer. let me know. Let me know what you've decided to read. Let me know if you have a favorite big book that you think I should read, or maybe a favorite novella you think I should read. So, interested to hear what you think. And again, we have another gray day here. I mean, I've been promised by Echo that we're going to have sunshine and warm temperatures for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday before it starts to rain again for the weekend. So I'm hoping that's true. And if that's the case, then I just have to get through today. So, so that's a good sign anyway. All right. So have a great day, friends, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.